So Tim Ryan and Mike Gravel both dropped out of the presidential race. So actually, you know what? That's a little bit up in the air, and I'll explain what that means more as we go along here. But first, let's take a look at Tim Ryan's announcement on it. He kind of buried it in his commentary and his reaction to these multiple massacres that happened in the U.S. He was asked a question about that, and he drops a bomb right in the middle of it.
Ryan, you are calling on Congress to cancel the August recess to address gun violence, but how realistic is that? Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, it's time to put public pressure on Mitch McConnell. I'm suspending my campaign for the presidency. I'm going to head back to Ohio, and we need leadership right now. And enough is enough is enough is enough. I mean, you watch these videos. And you see Dillard's in the background, and you see Walmart in the background, or you see a church in the background, and no one feels safe anymore. And there is a bottleneck in the United States Senate with Mitch McConnell. We passed in the House of Representatives a few weeks back background checks, a basic step that 90% of the American people support. And the Republicans need to, quite frankly, get their shit together and stop pandering to the NRA because people are getting killed. All those people we saw, and you've been doing this all day long, they had hopes and dreams. They had plans this week. They were going to do things. They were going to meet with their friends. They were going to meet with their family. They were going to go to church. And now they're gone because in this country, we're so dysfunctional that we can't do basic things. And it's got to stop. And we have to put pressure on Mitch McConnell to start with the background check bill. We need an assault weapons ban. We need to study this as a public health crisis that it is. I'll just tell you quickly, I was in Nevada yesterday. Huge shooting in Nevada. How many months back at the concert? I come to campaign in South Carolina, Emmanuel Baptist Church. Now I'm going to go back to Ohio. It's Dayton. It was Chardon. You go to New England and you have Sandy Hook. I mean, this is happening everywhere.
Okay, so put aside the obvious point that he's correct on we need to do basic gun reform. I mean, I think that's obvious, and the overwhelming majority of Americans agree when you go through those specific gun reform proposals, whether it's universal background checks or ban on high-capacity magazine or whatever it might be. So he's right about all that stuff. He's right about Mitch McConnell gaslighting and blocking to protect the NRA by any means necessary. He's right about all that. But I don't know if you caught it there early on in his commentary. He said, today I'm suspending my campaign for president. By the way, nobody covered this. Like, he said this on TV, on MSNBC. I didn't see a single article afterwards covering it. Nothing. Nothing anywhere, which is kind of embarrassing. You were running for president, nobody even noticed, and you drop out, nobody even notices. Oh, Tulsi sends her regards. Mr. I don't know the difference between the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. And Bernie does too, because he wrote the damn bill. Now, Sam Cedars' interpretation of what Tim Ryan said here was, no, he's not dropping out of the race, he's suspending his campaign, and he might jump back in. And I have to be honest, my interpretation was not that. My interpretation was, no, he's done, he's dropping out of the race. And it's almost like, in a weird way, he kind of hoped that he could just tiptoe and back out of the race and almost pretend like he was never in it, because what a lot of people don't know is this is embarrassing to a lot of these candidates who are polling very low and haven't really sniffed a shot, is that they feel like, oh, this might hurt my electoral chances in a smaller market later on. So he's a congressman. If he's exposed on a national stage as like the country not really liking him, is that going to hurt his efforts and his chances in a smaller market in a congressional district? It could. So it might be like a slow tiptoe back and out of it, and oh, he suspended his campaign. Nobody even noticed, nobody even said anything. Cool, I'm done here. And hopefully they never bring it up again, period. So my interpretation of I'm suspending my campaign is not, oh, I'm going to temporarily suspend it to go deal with the fallout of gun violence in my home state, but then I'll be back on the campaign trail. It wasn't like, I'm going to take a break and pressure Mitch McConnell and go to Washington, D.C. and try to fix this problem, and then I'll go back on the campaign trail. My interpretation of it was, I'm suspending the campaign, and this is my way of saying I'm donezo, but I'm trying to tiptoe my way out of here. So I don't think he's going to jump back in the race. And I also don't think he really has a prayer of getting to the next debate anyway, so he knows his chances are up. Now, I could be wrong. You guys tell me, do you think it's more likely that he's going to jump back in, or is he saying I'm suspending my campaign, and that's his way of saying I'm dropping out, I'm donezo, and I hope this stays on the low because maybe I save face a little bit if it stays on the low, and I'll bury it in the middle of this gun control rant. I don't know, but I lean towards he ain't jumping back in. Now, in the case of Mike Gravel, he dropped out. He did an official dropout announcement on it. In the dropout announcement, he endorsed Bernie Sanders. Now, earlier on, he had endorsed Tulsi Gabbard, and so it's a little unclear as to what exactly is going on there. You know, my interpretation of it is that it's almost like the Gravel teens had endorsed Tulsi early on. And then now Mike Gravel himself is dropping out and endorsing Bernie Sanders. But there's been a little bit of a fallout on social media and some arguments on social media about this. What exactly did Gravel mean? Is he still endorsing both? Or as it's now known in the business, pulling a Ro Khanna? So everybody knows I'm on the record. I don't like the I'm running out to win thing or gimmicky like Larry Lessig did in 2016. Oh, I'm going to try to be president, but I'm only going to address corruption and then I'll resign. So I'm only a one-issue candidate, literally. So just vote for me and then I'll step down after I get that done. And everybody was like, what are you doing? That doesn't even make sense. Stop it. That's so silly. So that was always my feeling towards Gravel. Now, that doesn't mean Gravel isn't an American hero. He absolutely is. Former senator, was directly involved with the Pentagon Papers, and really a hero in many ways, and a good senator in many ways, and he's right on the issues in many ways. So I just didn't like that, and it was also, keep it real, it's kind of weird that there were some teens that came out of nowhere that are like, oh, let's run his campaign and be his social media gurus. It's just weird. The whole scenario is weird. But having said that, it's a good thing that Gravel is endorsing Bernie Sanders. And, his heart's in the right place. It's always been in the right place. You could just say, hey, Kyle, you're overly skeptical and you're a cynical bastard. Hey, fair enough, man. But so we have two new candidates to drop, or at least I think. The original person who dropped out was Richard Ojeda. He ran for about 7.5 minutes and dropped out. And now you have Tim Ryan and Mike Gravel both dropping. Listen, I expect a lot more will be dropping very soon because the standards to get into the next debate are a lot harder for people to reach. So since that's the case, and since a lot of people are still at 0% or 1%, what are you going to do? You've already been on the debate stage, like Kirsten Gillibrand, for example, de Blasio even, Booker. Like, you've already been on the debate stage every time, and you have Dickie McGeezax to show for it, John Delaney. Like, even if you get into the next debate, then what? Even if you get a bump of 100%, congratulations, you're at 2% in the polls. I don't know, man. So I think we're going to see a whole bunch of dropouts coming soon. But there you have it. There's your update. Tim Ryan and Mike Gravel are no longer in the race.